We're already recording. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Drinks with Johnny. Today, I have the esteemed pleasure of being joined by some of the cast and crew of the new movie Manifest West, coming out November 11th. That's later on this week for everyone watching, you know. And it's going to be, I had the pleasure of seeing this movie already at the Newport Film Festival, and it was incredible. So we've got some of the guys here. We got Louie, Milo, Annet, and Joe. And we're going to talk a little bit about the movie, I'm sure, and we're also going to have some drinks as we usually do. And I don't know, we'll see what else we talk about, right?
Sure. Whatever.
How you guys doing today?
Great.
Doing awesome.
Thanks for coming down to the house.
Thanks
it's
for
not
having
often
us.
we get this.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah. Better in person.
Yeah, well, it's always better in person. But it's also, you know, I know it kind of worked out because you guys were here, as I mentioned, for the Newport Film Festival just down the road. But you guys are officially the most guests I've had at once on the show. So congratulations.
Yeah.
You guys made it happen. And we were talking. We had a couple of drinks the other night at the bar. And I know you're into whiskey. You were drinking a dirty martini.
I was having a dirty
And
martini.
that didn't make it down.
I didn't make it.
down from there. And Joe's on the wagon.
I'm on the
How
wagon.
long you been on the wagon?
Coming up on 12 years, I think.
Congratulations, man.
That's awesome.
Before the other night, I had 5 months, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
Got someone to look up to.
All right.
So I bring up the drink because you know, we were talking a little whiskey the other night, and I figured we had a little story about the High West whiskey, or you did rather.
Oh yeah. First time I had High West was actually with Michael Cudlitz, who plays Eric in the film.
That's right.
He's the next door neighbor of these guys, and he kind of is the good angel on the shoulder of Milo's character. And at the premiere in Mammoth, I said, let's have a drink, and he said, let's have a High West, and I never had it, so that's it.
This will be your second
It's
time.
my second time having a High West.
So this time we're not going to be straight up with it. I made a little cocktail last night with the wife. We're going to call this one the Manifest High West. There was a longer title to it, actually, guys, but Sam, our producer, said it was too long, so we're just going to leave it at that. I was calling it the Manifest High West Apple Cinnamon Old Fashioned.
Yeah, that's a little long.
Yeah, you
Nice job,
revealed
Sam.
all the ingredients, the secret ingredients
But
there.
in my defense, though, I had a good line to follow it up. I was like, I know it's a mouthful, but after you taste it, you're going to want a mouthful.
Oh. Yeah. Sure.
That's terrible, I know. All right. Anyways, so let's talk about what's in this fucking drink, huh?
Yeah.
So
Can we
you
taste
guys
it?
each got one here. So in it is going to be, you got 2 ounces of the High West whiskey. You got 1 ounce of the bamboo rum. That's a really good rum, by the way.
Okay.
And then you got a few dashes of apple bitters, and we made simple syrup with cinnamon in it. So it's cinnamon simple syrup. That's pretty much it. And then garnish it with a little, just a little cinnamon stick in there. And then it's pretty easy, kind of like an old fashioned, kind of fall flavors, and kind of Manifest West style.
All right.
Cheers,
Cheers.
guys.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for
Absolutely.
having us. All right. It's pretty good. It's really good.
You like that?
Oh, it's so sweet.
Leave it over here.
Delicious.
I'm glad you guys like it. Yeah, because
Tastes like fall in a cup.
yeah. Well, that's the whole thing.
I got Diet Dr. Pepper down here.
Yeah, Joe's got
Tell us
Dr.
about it.
Actually, it's one of the best diet sodas. Actually tastes exactly like regular Dr. Pepper.
I agree, actually. I do like Diet Dr. Pepper. It's one of my favorites, especially when I was talking about those 5 months where I was sober. A lot of diet soda in the house during that time. Because I don't know about you guys, but I like to pair drinks with my dinners and stuff. Like, even if it is just a soda or whatever it might be, I need a flavor. I can't just have fucking water with my meals. I don't know why. I like the pairing of stuff.
Well, supposedly you're not supposed to. It's bad for digestion. You're supposed to eat,
Really?
and then when you're done eating, then you can have drinks.
So you're always an aperitif?
I guess. Yeah, like you're not supposed to have water with your meal, supposedly.
You're not even supposed to have water with...
But alcohol you can.
Well, what about...
alcohol
I don't
too.
think that's
I
allowed
think
these
it's bad for your
days.
digestion.
What about
We're
what's that?
talking about
like an
alcohol,
all-timer
not water.
Well, we can
Well, I'm
talk
just
about
saying,
water too.
anything,
No, I
any
was
drink,
following
yeah,
you, Milo.
any
I was
drink.
following you.
I've heard
Yeah.
it before. I have heard
Yeah.
it before.
Yeah, but what happens when you get a dry meal?
But I do it anyways. Yeah. Maybe
you
it's more
supposed to
like
do
a
with
lines
a
of
dry
like, hey,
meal,
like,
though?
don't get it. Like, we're not getting in the pool for 45 minutes. Gotta wait for you. You know what I mean? That whole thing. But
An old tale like that. Yeah. But
He's the upside one. I don't
Have you ever had a steak with Diet Dr. Pepper?
no, I have not had a steak with Diet Dr. Pepper.
I have actually. It's not bad.
What happens when you do that?
Just pairs well.
It's a good pair.
You could actually, I think you can
That's all I
marinate
have.
the steak
It's a
in
great pair.
Dr. Pepper.
Some people do that. They marinate like steak and Coke. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I think it like actually cooks.
It's just
it
all the
because
sugar.
stuff that's
Yeah.
there's so much bad shit.
Well,
in
there's
it.
also so much. I mean,
So-
you can stick it on a car battery if it's
Right,
rusting.
clean it up.
You know, yeah,
I've
man. You
seen
can do a
that,
bunch of
yeah.
stuff with Coca-Cola, not just for drinking.
My friend in college used to boil hot dogs in Coke.
boil hot dogs
Yeah.
and cook.
And cocaine.
Oh, okay. That's I was again. I was making sure. What did I text you the other night before you came over and I said something? I was
I love
talking
you.
about cooking. Yeah, that was it too.
Sweet dream.
No, but there was something. I don't remember what it was now. It was something funny, guys. You had to be there. You had to be on my phone. But anyways, let's get back to the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you guys are here for, right?
If you want.
It's 10 o'clock in the morning, by the way, just so everyone knows. And we're drinking pretty high octane cocktail. So we'll see how they handle it, or I do. Anyways, the movie. Great movie. Actually, I really enjoyed it. It was, for me, I'll be completely candid and honest here. I had no idea what a screening really was. I've been to like a premiere before, but never a screening. And knowing that you guys were going to come on the show already, it's one of those things where I'm sitting there watching going, God, I hope this is a good movie. Because if it sucks, I'm going to have to pretend that I like this fucking movie. And I was very, very excited to say that it's a great fucking movie. It was really well written, well shot. You guys acted incredibly in it. You even had a great cameo. I missed the mustache, though. I really want to see you bring that mustache back. I don't want to spoil it for those who are going to watch, but Louie looks good in this movie.
I'm the only one who got an applause.
You-
on my
yeah.
off-screen.
How did that make you
Both
guys
times.
feel, by
Hey,
the way?
Joe's in it too, by the way.
I also I applauded for him. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Joe's in it too, but his is at night, and it's like
It's quick. I actually made the trailer.
He's in the trailer.
I'm a sheriff sniper in one shot.
Nice. Is that were those glasses part of the thing?
I think they made appearances on set. I don't know.
They look good. They look
Thank
good.
you.
I'm really digging it. So when you guys are, this isn't your first time doing screenings and having an audience and film festival and stuff. You even mentioned you guys were just in Mammoth not too long ago doing that. You've seen the movie over and over at this point. You know, you've done all the editing. You've gone through it all. What is it like sitting there and watching it in the theaters and just waiting to like hear other people's reaction? I guess.
We were most nervous about you. I hope this guy likes it. We got a podcast on Monday now.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I think I just felt bad because it's such a sad real story. I was just looking around, hearing some little tears shedding, sobbing, and I was like, oh, I feel so bad that I'm making people sad.
Specifically, your character too.
Yeah.
That's a serious character, and I mean, you did a great job with it. I mean, I like how it shows, like you said, like the realness of it, and your character's going through what do you call it, mental problems, obviously, and losing a bit of her mind in it. I don't want to give too much away of what the movie's about, but you did an incredible job. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and then also being like a parent. Here's another thing that reminds me, who is the casting director on this?
us.
That was us.
That was you guys.
Joe and I, yeah.
You guys did an incredible
The
job.
only
with
reason
the
I got a
daughter.
job.
Oh, yeah.
She looked like it looked like a combination of these two.
It really did. It was kind of funny, like, you know,
Both girls,
When we
yeah.
looked at Madison,
Yeah.
it was like, oh, this could be my kid, and then
Right.
Madison kind of, the younger daughter.
And why is
Madison
that? And why is
Friedman
that?
looks. Or no, I'm just saying.
Doesn't look, but you could see
they're a
like
mixture.
You can
there's
see a
mix.
mixture though.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I was
She's a
like,
sweetie, yeah.
it's one of those.
And Lexi, too.
It's one of those things. It's like a attention to detail, I guess. Like I try to pick up on movies, but I'm not like I'm some kind of critic and like anything. Like I know anything, but just as a fan of the genre, like I'm looking at it and going, wow, that's an incredible casting job.
Yeah.
It looks like it could be Annette's daughters. It looks like it could be Milo's daughters. You
Yeah.
know, it was really where did they come from, by the way?
Well, I mean, I think for a little context, the movie tells the story of this family who leaves society behind, wants to go off the grid and start a new life, and we sort of, throughout the course of the movie, find out, they have reasons for doing this, and eventually it sort of spirals out of control. So it's this movie that's very heavily centered on this family. So if we have actors who don't look like a family, the whole movie falls apart. So I think it was knowing that we wanted Annette, we wanted Milo, and then we had gone out through some producers and gone to some casting agencies who had child actors, where we found Lexi Kolker. And I think Lexi was really the only child actor who we looked at for the movie. We were recommended. They said, "This is who you want. She's great." We met her. She was great. And I think we found that if something's working, sometimes that's just sort of how it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And you don't second guess it too much. So we said, I think we got a family here. So.
Yeah.
Well, that is funny that you mentioned family, and you said you already knew you wanted Annet and Milo to star in it. Why Annet and Milo? Like, let's get into why you already knew it was going to be Annet and Milo to be the.
I never asked this question either, so I'd love to hear the answer.
We're so cute together.
Well, this is my wife, so I'm married to Annet, and I think she's fantastic, and that's, I'm not just saying it because she's my wife. I'm really awestruck by her in so many, in all the roles I've seen her do. And so Joe and I had written another project before this, and we wanted to put her in it, and it kind of just, things fall apart sometimes, and just, it never ended up happening.
They owed me one.
And we actually wanted to put Milo in that too. They were going to play brother and sister. And then, anyway, that didn't happen.
The kissing scene would have been different, though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. But that kissing scene, we'll get to the kissing scene.
We are
let's jump in. You already brought it up.
We are at the kissing scene. It's happening right now.
I brought it up when Annet was on the show a couple seasons ago.
I remember. I was ready.
It wasn't in there. It wasn't in there.
What a jerk.
But me and her decided that for the sake of the film, it made sense in that setting. But I remember we did it, and all I heard was him behind the camera. All I heard him go, "Fuck you."
And if you listen really closely in the movie,
But I was sitting back there going, "You motherfucker!" Come on, stop.
but it just played into the character, right?
No, it fit. No,
And then when we were cutting it, I would take Joe and I'd be sitting editing it, and I would take video smiles, and I'd be like, "You piece of shit."
Send it to me.
Videos.
I'm like, oh, geez, okay.
Whatever.
Every day I'd show up to work, and I kind of, before every scene, I would kind of tell Milo, "Hey, I think we should kiss on this one. I think it's really important for the family dynamic."
Did she say it to you?
And it just turned into this annoying thing. He probably blocked it out, but then
Which family though? The fictitious family or the?
No, but
Because in case you guys haven't noticed either, these two are also brothers. If you don't know Milo and Louie Gibson, they're also brothers.
We are brothers.
Joe is part of the family too. I'm not really
Honorary.
sure how,
Louie's my work husband, but
yeah, we're basically like married and tour. We've been working. Joe and I have been.
We're all married to each
working
other.
together for probably more than 10 years. So writing and directing and doing
we
stuff. So
shot our first
producing
movie
stuff.
together, ton of commercials and video work.
So how long is that relationship in?
Probably since
Met in college,
College, right?
then started working together when we were both out in LA,
after college.
doing just
Right on.
So it's one of those.
we basically lived on the same block.
yeah.
One time,
when I met her, she
Louie
was
was
2 blocks away.
catching an Uber from my place and realized he just went to the bottom of
Yeah, I
the
didn't know where I was. But
block right around my house. We're neighbors. We're meant to
I
be.
was gonna say.
back in the Fairfax.
Oh, you got thrown off again by the kissing.
People ask
Yeah.
about like collaborating a lot because him and I collaborate so much. Like, how do you do that? And I feel like it's something. Well, you would know this. Like, obviously, being in a band, everyone's got to plays their part and does their thing, and
Right.
it's like it only works with certain people, and there's always egos that can get in the way, obviously. But I think for him and I think we just have a way of like checking egos and being like whoever's idea is the best idea. Someone's always like man enough to be like, you know what, you're right. If someone's fighting for it and someone else sees it, they're like, okay, you're right, that's the right point. It's because it's all about, in the end of the day, it's about the project as a whole. It's not about one individual's.
You get that a lot. It's like, what's the key to like collaborating? I'm like, I don't play well with others at all. Like, it's just I play well with Louie.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's
It's personalities.
yeah. I
Because
think that's in any art, right? Or any collaborative art. You got it that you're working with other people. It's got to be the right mesh. I guess that's kind of, as I'm saying, it's kind of like relationships too. Like if it's going to work.
I was just gonna say that. Someone always has to hold the tambourine every once in a while.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Or the triangle, or whatever. It's something that's not super.
Whatever unimportant instrument there is.
No, it's not. That's not how I meant it. No, I meant it. But sometimes you gotta take it back.
Didn't you know that Johnny plays the triangle in the summer?
He had no idea. I was just going to show my studio. I have an entire studio. of
There's
just
a wall right here
triangles.
of tambourines
This one
and
sounds
triangles,
different because
ladies
it
and
does
gentlemen.
this, and this one sounds different because it does this.
No, but you know what I'm saying. Sometimes you got to take a back seat and realize that there's something someone's saying better, or there's something different that you guys.
It's just for the greater good. I think we always see it without it. It's unspoken. It's just whatever the greater good is. What's going to make the project whatever you're working on the best. So
Right.
And that does
That's all
make
it
it
is.
the best because you can't be a control freak on this type of stuff. You have to collaborate with people, whether it's film or music or whatever it is, because that's what brings the best shit out.
Right. I think that's entertainment in general, and I even throw sports in that too, because even as you talk about it, like if you, we taled a little bit about sports the
Yeah.
other night.
Oh yeah, we did.
when
Go
it
Broncos,
comes to-
right?
Just get the fuck out of here. I think you saw my Raiders thing over there. That's just one of the things, all right? I know it's small.
are you a Raider, bro?
I'm a Raider.
Oh, he's Raider Nation.
What do you do with this?
Raider Nation.
What's that? Yeah. We'll talk about that after hours.
I like it.
All right.
But yeah, so I mean, going back to that, really, I think I consider sports also to be entertainment as well. Obviously, I mean it's entertainment. It's what fucking we watch and everything like that. And even in a sports team or something like that, it's often the greater good of getting to that championship, that ultimate goal, the championship, the most views, the most listens, whatever it may be. And if you have a team around, you have to be able to trust each person to do what they're supposed to do. And I bring that all to, you guys' family dynamic, your long relationship with Louie together. Do you think that really helped in this movie, particularly being so based around a family going to a new neighborhood, trying to start a new kind of vibe?
I mean, yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I think it definitely did. And I think part of this movie is we shot it early on during the pandemic, kind of coming out of the first big lockdown.
You guys were the
in
first
LA.
ones,
We were,
according to SAG, you guys
I
were the
believe,
first
according
ones,
to
right?
SAG, we were the first movie that shot out of the pandemic. So we were, this small group going up. We shot in Forest Falls in California,
Which
It's
is just outside of
Redlands, sort of on
that's
the way to
right,
Big
okay.
Bear, which is this very small mountain community. So we were just up there, and it really, like, the story of the movie is this family moving off the grid up the mountain, but really the crew was very small, the cast was small, and we moved up a mountain and we were up there for a month. So it's sort of like,
And we were a
part of his
family. It
life
was
a
very
little bit.
real.
Yeah.
Super skeleton. Yeah.
So
I heard I was talking to the on-site producer as well. He was describing the drives in and out to that specific cabin.
Oh yeah.
Oh, to Bryson.
The most ridiculous ride.
What was it? What was his? What was
Bryson.
it?
Bryson Pintard. Yeah, yeah.
yes.
He did a great
producer.
job. He was the producer. He kind of, for something like this, he made it happen. But yeah, we basically where we shot at this cabin, and we kind of shot all around there. You had to take this Forest Service road essentially, and it was this kind of like rocky dirt road, and we take like from our main production house, which we had down in this little strip of town in Forest Falls. It was probably like somehow it became like a 20-minute drive up there because you had to drive slow.
Super narrow.
Not even.
narrow,
It was like
it's
10,
like
10 minutes
rocks
to
and
get
everywhere,
to like the thing, and then you get to like unlock the
Yeah, it was
thing
like
because
a
it's
whole
all like
thing.
park land, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever you call it. And
You weren't
like,
allowed to drive there. We got permission.
You
to
can't drive up there. Only like park people can.
So it's like national forest.
basically
and
yeah.
Forest Service land.
And like it's,
Okay.
I mean, it's you can't drive up there without a four-wheel drive car.
which was great
Like,
'cause-
Prius wouldn't make it up there.
One,
Okay.
no one will ever shoot there. I think we got, those are our, which is awesome.
Was it because that damn septic tank? Is that
Yeah. The damn septic.
That damn septic. No, it was really cool up there. It was really amazing. Like even going up there in the morning time before shooting, there's like waterfalls off to the right, like that are super deep, and people would you'd see people like hike by every once in a while.
And there
but
was
it
a-
was just beautiful, just by itself.
Do you remember the ladybug migration that was
Yes.
going on? There was
No,
just
no,
raining
no.
What is a
ladybugs.
ladybug migration? I
Was
didn't
that
know they
ladybugs or
migrated.
was that what's it called? The things that eat your wood.
Locust?
No.
Termites.
Was it termites?
Termites.
Or was it ladybugs? A big difference.
Wow.
No, it was
There is a difference.
it was ladybugs. It was.
Maybe
It
it's
was.
a girl thing, but
There was a yeah.
What I did, it was very, like I will say off what you're asking about, the family dynamic, because everyone's so comfortable with each other, and Joe and I are very relaxed. We're not running around ever like going nuts. Like we wanted to be like as peaceful and as cool as possible, and we were pretty cool headed. It was very, and because we know these guys, it was all very family oriented. Everyone was cool. Everyone was a team player. And then being up there in the woods too, just in serene, with such beautiful nature. I remember coming out sometimes before we do big scenes, and I remember seeing Annette out there just like doing yoga on a mat.
Or
Just like to the house, I'm
meditating.
like, so we'd be like, hey, we need you in like 10 minutes. She'd be like, oh, okay. She'd like come in. So it was like very like,
great.
and
It was-
then we come in and there'd be like people like screaming and like
Yeah.
family fights going on.
And
in the
I did
films.
that.
Yeah. Did that help like each scene? I'm sorry, you were about to go into something there. Did that help with like each scene being out there like with your guys' family going into like Annette doing yoga before. Is that before you're going to be doing one of these more serene?
Yeah, before they take my kids away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that
right.
was a big
Or is
happy
it
scene.
when you guys are getting into it and someone's like, all right, let's get the camera and let's get this scene now. You know?
Well, I
Yeah,
think-
that was the hardest scene.
That was a
because
heavy
we-
scene. She did
We
some
all thought that was
meditation.
going to be
Yeah.
so real, and
I mean, I think
it really
every-
was a real moment when the.
I think every actor has their own process of what they do right before they get ready. But I think being up there in that situation and never really leaving set, right? When you're like on another film or another show or whatever, you leave the set, you go to wherever you're going to be staying in a trailer or whatever it is. You can your mind can start going other places, right? But up there, we were like, I was always kind of like there. You're always on set. You're not like, on your phone looking at other stuff, getting distracted with what you actually need to be doing, right? So I think that really helped in kind of like staying, not in character, but staying in that world,
Staying present, yeah.
right?
Yeah. And you guys also mentioned like the hiking and stuff like and staying present in that world. This goes into this question of on your downtime, because I know at least some music video shoots and stuff. There's a lot of hurry up and wait, as we say,
Yeah.
right? So are you just staying ready in character, or do you go for a hike? Do you do something like that?
I mean, I
or-
feel like
We were practicing our kiss.
God. We were. I think a
Can we
lot.
put like the ooze?
Yeah. Wait. Hold up the ooh thing and the applause thing. No, I think because a lot of the scenes it's all of us most of the time.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
cut this guy's brake lines on the way back, dude. Motherfucker's gonna crash.
Going down the
Before
mountain.
fight.
That's your brother, man.
A lot of
Wouldn't that be terrible?
Sitting as a family.
that would be awful.
Why did you guys choose to sit next
Keep
to
it
each
in.
other?
Keep it in.
Good thing there's no hills here. No, a lot of the scenes we're in, everyone's in it together. Like the two girls, like Madison and Lexi and Annette and me. So
right.
there wasn't a lot. I don't think there didn't feel like a lot of downtime because these guys they work so well together that it's just like. It's not rushed, but
Yeah, we were just
it was like, okay,
in the
switch,
scene.
slowly switch, okay, back inside, blah, blah, blah. It was
I
very
would-
fluid, very easy.
I think that it's a movie that, because it's a very dialogue-heavy movie, there's a lot of performance in it. I mean, you could tell me, but I think that as actors, it's a movie where you get to actually do a lot of acting. I think that there's a lot of movies where it's very it's like, this scene, you're walking in, grab the cup. Grab the
Right.
cup
Yeah.
again. grab
Okay,
the
cut,
cup.
do it
Like
again.
a lot, like 90% of your job becomes
Yeah.
like hitting marks and doing technical things and not doing acting, which is what presumably like
It was a very
you're in the
intimate,
business for. You know,
Hopefully you
intimate
wanna
experience.
do.
It's my most favorite kind of work, relationships and just being in each other's face and seeing what happens.
you have
So-
you know
where the
3
magic
page
happens.
dialogue scenes
Yeah.
or whatever. You get to sit and actually act and perform and feel it out rather than to sort of
These
doing
guys,
those
these
kinds
guys
of things.
also, wouldn't just like set up cameras, right? Like sometimes they would, but a lot it would be like free, like hold and kind of just like hover where you are.
Right.
Just so you could just kind of be free to be where you want to be and like not like get stuck and like stale in some place.
Right.
So you feel free and you feel like the freedom to do what you want to do, and I think when that happens, bullshit happens, right?
Yeah.
Bullshit comes out.
So each of that, we're getting into a little bit of how the actual movie was filmed, how it was made and stuff, and that brings me to a little bit of each of your backgrounds. Like before you're going into this, like each of you have I would say unique perspectives on different movies and different sets and stuff. Like you just finished up doing the World Beyond with we were talking about a couple seasons ago with The Walking Dead TV show, a little bit more regular filming stuff like that. You guys, I don't know if you have ever really talked about it, or were you ever on a set as like growing up and stuff, or throughout your lives have you seen a lot of different kinds of movie sets?
Yeah, no, I think I grew up, on a lot of sets. We both did. So I think for me,
He was kept at home.
I always loved it. There was such a magic to it being there that I always knew I wanted to tell stories in some way, whether that was, whatever that was. So from an early age, I kind of knew that's what I wanted to do. And so it's great. And, even running around, we had a camera at the house, so I'd always be running around like filming this guy, making him do stuff. And
Putting ketchup on him.
he'd usually quit, like making little videos.
That's awesome.
And he'd always, you gave me a look like I was like, what did I say?
Well, no, I smile because I could actually picture it a little bit, but I'm also picturing it in my head.
He'd always quit though halfway through because I'd be so demanding. I'd be like,
I want to know.
sit
I
down.
have
I
so
told you
many
to sit down,
questions
do
about
this,
this.
and then like
You
he'd be
were
like, I'm
abusing
going.
him.
He'd just like go watch TV, be like, please come back. He'd be like, no, and I'd be like, fuck. And then like I wouldn't have the movie, but Or one
now
time
you-
I
now you
replaced him with a
have
puppet.
He
movie.
didn't quit this time.
Yeah, he didn't quit.
He made it through.
So I told him actually
Yeah.
beforehand as a joke. I think
Was
I
this
told
the
you.
fir-
I was
was
like,
this the
don't
first-
quit.
Was this the first movie you didn't quit on with
Yes,
Louie?
this is the first film I didn't quit on with him. You're right. Oh, wow, that's amazing. No, we used to run around a lot and do that, and I never thought I'd get into acting.
Really?
I think it was more pushed away. Right?
Okay.
It was kind of like go do something else.
Yeah, I
Right?
can imagine. I mean,
Go do something else. Not me. People were saying that. Go do something else. Right?
yeah.
Who was saying?
Oh, my father. Right?
Yeah.
But
I could understand
It
that.
wasn't encouraged. It wasn't pushed like a lot of actors. I think a lot of actors do with their children. They didn't push us into it.
Right.
It was like you do what you want. And so I just, I did a lot of other things in my life, a lot of other jobs, and then, one day I said, I don't want to be 60 years old and regret not trying something that I think that I have a passion for, but was too much of a, was too scared to try or whatever.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
So yeah, that's how I got into it, and I love it, and that's why I'm still doing it. And
I think that's interesting too, though. We talk a little bit about that because you're congratulations, you're about to have a kid in December.
I am,
right?
yeah.
Congratulations,
I
you
am,
guys
yeah.
have children. You just had your first kid as well.
13 months.
13 months. So everyone's got kids. We could all kind of talk about that dynamic that you just touched upon of just having a kid that, I mean, I have a 5-year-old and I'm in music and we're all in entertainment. And then ask that question, other people will ask you that question. Would you ever want your kid to follow in your footsteps rather? And you always kind of go, well, yeah, I like a lot of what I do, but there's also a part of it that kind of sucks. And do I want that for my kid is kind of the question. So I think what your father, your family might have been thinking at that point. I don't want to put myself in that position, but I kind of can as a father at this point. You just want them to find it on their own if they're going to, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to push it. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I just individually, how you guys feel about that?
I was always
from this industry.
Creativity. I felt like I was never discouraged from doing. So that's what it was. I don't think it was necessarily, at least from my perspective, discouraged. It was just, it wasn't like you have to do this kind of thing. It wasn't pushed. It wasn't impressed upon me that I had to do something. It was go find your path.
Because you know how hard it is, so you want to make sure that's what they love.
Yeah.
And
They're
you're going
ready
to
for
have
this.
the other aspect of it is that shadow, right? That might be cast upon whoever it is in your family that is doing something. I mean, they talk about it. I'm a big professional wrestling fan. They talk about it on a lot of wrestling podcasts. Is when the second generation wrestler comes in, they automatically have this scrutiny in the locker room and among that thing. So they have to be kind of that much better to actually succeed at the same thing.
Well, what's that huge wrestling family?
Which one? There's a few
the
different
original, like the guys from back in the day, big dudes, blonde, like they're like father, the two brothers.
Father
Tragedy
Time.
happened with their family.
Well, there's the Hart family. There's
Old school. Whatever, it's fine.
there's
That's a wrestling fan.
yeah, I know you got me. You
What's
got me.
that?
Yeah, you
What's
got me.
that?
I'm trying to think. Well, no, there was quite a few different ones that
Yeah.
I mean, even famously, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson comes
Yes.
from one. His entire family, even to this day, his cousins and stuff are
Yep.
still wrestling. His grandfather was the great Maivia, in the Hawaiian territory. There's other ones. I mean, like Kurt Angle, Mr. Perfect is the second generation. The entire Hart Foundation is now into their third and fourth generations of wrestlers.
Pretty wild.
But each time that comes up, there's if you've made it something for yourself,
Yeah.
and now your kid wants to go into it. There's always that question: do they take that last name? Do they go into it as a Hart? Do they go into someone else, and then later it's revealed?
I know our 5-year-old is offended he's not in this movie.
I think-
He's looking at all like the red carpet pictures.
He wants
He's
to be
like,
in it, yeah.
all right, the next one I'm
He
gonna
asked
be
me
in the
yesterday,
next
he's like,
movie,
can I
right?
be in it? I was like, yeah, dude.
Your
It's like-
5-year-old is adorable, by the way. I haven't
How
met
do you
your
explain to
younger
him,
one, though.
what
I
all the
love
things
hair.
he's gonna
You met
have
him
to
at the
do?
bar.
I met him at the
to be
bar.
in the
Don't let him
movie.
hear. Don't let
So
him hear you
Louie
say
felt really good about saying, "Hey, here I am with my 5-year-old at the bar." And the funny thing is, I didn't think twice about it until you said it. I would be with my son at the bar all the time. Like, why not?
that. Yeah,
Somehow
Well,
everyone
they're a great
ended up
guy.
eating his
I'm a role model, is what I am.
that's right.
Yeah.
No, I think I mean, touching back to what we were originally talking about, if I wanted to be a mime, they would have been totally cool with me being a mime. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
whatever I wanted to be. So my son, or my son, if whatever he wants to be, it's
So
fine.
you're having a boy.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I am having a boy. But I'm
Wait,
not,
Annette
but I'm
didn't
not-
know that?
It's a boy. No, she
No,
knew
but
this.
y'all
She knew
did.
this.
Oh, no, they didn't know. Okay.
They didn't know.
Yeah, but
But But no, he could do whatever he wants, whatever makes him, whatever.
What about you
I'm
guys?
gonna say if my daughter wants to be a mime, I'm gonna have some questions.
Maybe she just wants to live in
Look,
Paris.
why don't you talk? Yeah. I was just putting something. We send you to school.
And what about you,
Like,
Nettie?
I think there's a ceiling on this profession.
Oh, you know what I'm saying.
Was Nettie encouraged?
I was encouraged to get my PhD. You know, that's what my dad had, and I had nobody in the industry. So I had no idea how to climb the ladder. Apparently, there is no ladder.
Right.
Just have to keep hustling and honing your instruments and being true to that. And here we are. And this was a project, near and dear, working with people I know and I love, and so it's probably my most favorite piece of art. So I'm very happy to be sitting here talking about it.
I mean, I'm glad you guys are here talking about it too, because it is, again, super grateful that it was a good movie. And it really was, talking about that child dynamic and stuff. That was a part, I think you guys did a Q&A afterward, and they kind of touched on a little bit of these questions here that I have. But one of the things that I gravitated towards it was that question of, is Milo's character a good guy, a bad guy? Is Annette's character, doing the right thing for her children? Is it right or is it wrong? Kind of that question. And it's funny because I struggle with that all the time, especially as a father and as I'm getting a little older. What is right? What is wrong? What does the words even really fucking mean? And what do I want it to be in my perspective? And instantly, I know you guys were talking about like, oh, it's kind of a bummer of a movie. And I was like, I think we were in the restroom. And I was like, yeah, I didn't feel that way at all. Maybe that says something about me.
What were y'all doing in the rest
But
of it?
we were using the urinal.
There was a space in
Same
between.
one. There was just
I think there
one.
might have been two in between.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was, you guys were saying like, yeah, I don't know, when the crowd's around, you don't want to bum everyone out and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I wasn't bummed out at all. Like,
that's
maybe
interesting.
that tells something about my character, like I said, as a person. But to me, I was like, no, I get that. Like, he wants to be with his wife, who's got an issue, and his daughters, and wants to take them out of all the element and just be them and see what he can do with that family. And that's all that really matters. And I understand that perspective of like, this is truly all that matters. So I could very much empathize with that.
Yeah, I mean, he tries to get her help. He goes the Western medicine way, and it doesn't make her feel good. It doesn't make her happy. It doesn't make us happy. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, oh shit, maybe I'll just do it my way.
She loses her job, even though she was getting the help she needed, and so the family was crumbling already.
Right.
They wanted to try something else. Maybe it's if they could just be together, and it could be less stressful, and they could be in nature and be self-sufficient. Maybe that's really
that'll
all the support
fix
they
everything,
need.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's just, we wanted to tell a very human story, and in life the endings aren't always buttoned up so nicely. So what you're talking about, like, I think to Joe and I, like, not to reveal the ending or anything, but like when we leave it, we feel like, okay, like we feel a certain way about it. We're like, that's okay, and that's real life. And I think we just tried to incorporate as many elements of that within a family, because families and relationships are messy, and there's so many moving parts.
It's hard to be a parent.
Like Annette mentioned, she's dealing with mental illness in it, and the father's trying his best to do it, but he's got his own demons he's dealing with too. So he's trying his best. He's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. So it kind of all hinges on these kids, and then we're following.
Which is what happens in these relationships. The children have to step up and sort of try to fix things for their
they're
parents.
forced to grow up.
Because they have their
forced to grow
own
up.
fresh, perspective on things, and can actually guide them. We do need to look at our kids as little humans, and not these, be quiet, go sit on your computer or your iPad, and they need to participate.
Yeah, Joe and I were just
Family
talking
unit.
about this yesterday with our kids, talking about like kids, kids absorb everything.
Right.
And so much of the time people think like they don't
that was-
hear it,
that
and like
was
they
a-
take in every single
Not
thing.
to throw our parents under the bus or anything, but that was something from
Yeah.
a couple generations before, to be honest. I think for the most part, well, at least where my friends and stuff, I think we're like-minded in that sense, is what Annette just alluded to, is that for a long time it was like, well, they don't know anything. They'll forget this stuff, anything.
Everything they take in.
I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I still have memories from when I was like 3 or 4 years old. Like, they're not very clear or anything like that. But like, yeah. And I'm like looking at my 5-year-old son, and he knows what the fuck's going on. He can't he can't process it the same way.
Yeah.
But he is retaining that information. He's not a baby, a child, a kid. He's a human being, to your point. And that's something I think parents should really focus in on.
Have you experienced a moment where like your child says something so profound?
All the time.
Right?
It makes me laugh hysterically.
Right? And you're like, wow, I didn't even see it that way. Which is touching on what she said.
And at the
It's
end of the
like
movie, right?
they're
The daughter
very-
is finally.
They're very in tune. More than society likes to make you think or whatever,
Yeah.
She pieces it together, Riley, at the end of the movie.
Even though I don't have a child yet.
Gathers the strength
yet,
and tells the father
And not one that we're going to talk about.
That's right.
what to do.
And I think that's what was
That's the one that like the other blurbs like pick out. Oh, Milo's got another kid.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Another one. I only have one.
And it's not even born yet.
I was going to say, I think that's like why it was important to tell the story through the eyes of a kid, is because it's a story that if you tell it through the eyes of the parents, as the filmmaker, you're sort of obligated to tell a very linear story.
Right.
But kids are figuring stuff out. You're sort of looking for what's going on behind the curtain. So it has this inherent mystery that comes into the story where you're not seeing everything, but as the audience, you're kind of inferring what's happening off screen, and it lets you tell a much more effective story.
I think that's really smart.
Yeah, it's
I
almost
never thought of it
unbiased,
that way.
right? If the
Yeah.
mom's
That was
complaining about all her issues, or if the father is, and you're finding someone to blame, whereas the kid will see, the mom's suffering here and the dad's not, is overwhelmed. And
I'll hand that one to Joe, because when we were writing it, he called that out one day. He's like, wait, we should be telling this early on. He's like, we should be telling this from the kid's perspective. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, yes, of course. Because
awesome.
you wouldn't, how many movies would you see where it's that situation? It's like, let's focus on the parents and you're going with mom. Like I think there's maybe 2 scenes you see with them, but the way they're shot, it's either slow motion or MOS without the kids being there.
Right.
So it's stylized in a way where you're like, oh, we're with them, but otherwise you're never seeing the parents unless the kids are either in the room, in the other room. They have to be somewhere close.
Gotcha.
So it's all kind of like
that's one of those
the
things you
kid
don't
picks
realize when
it
you're just
up.
watching the movie, but when you mention it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Which is smart. So it does give you the creative license to be like,
Let's
let's jump around a little bit. Let's go here. Like, what's going on with the kids now? Oh, wait, mom seems a little worse. Like, we're catching up because we don't specifically say that time passes, but you kind of get an idea if you look at it. Like, some months
they
have
just look
passed
dirtier and
throughout.
dirtier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way, like all of a sudden, that was the one time when I was like, wait a minute, when they're in the store, and I was like,
Because they're rolling
and
around
like
and
and
stuff.
the and the clerk finally catches on, and then that's kind of when you first kind of know that something's a little amiss. I mean, you start to get little teasers here and there before, but right then it's kind of like when you go, oh, this is gonna start going into the outside world. This isn't just the cabinet anymore. It's problem,
Yeah.
You know?
And I think the kid's perspective also sort of forces you as the audience to be objective about the characters.
That's a good-
Because
yeah.
we're talking about the ethics of the characters. I think for Louie and I think it's a movie that doesn't really have an antagonist. Like I like everybody in it, to some extent. I think that
Even Tim Heidecker's character, you like that?
love Tim.
I had an amazing time with Tim.
Wait, I
Tim
want to
Heidecker's-
get into
yeah.
some.
Is
some
he the
Tim stuff, 'cause I'm a
comedic
huge
relief?
fan, and he's got to be the little. There was
think
a
Madison
few
was the
comic relief
comedic
moments.
relief.
So I feel like
Yeah.
I think you guys did a good job of
Madison
having
was
each
the most-
character. Yeah, each character still
good.
had like there wasn't like one, comic relief of some kind that's like throughout the whole movie.
You
didn't
got
have,
to
like,
laugh a little, otherwise it's
Yeah, every
Too
once
much
in
of a
while,
bummer
but it was
otherwise, yeah.
But you left it open. I feel to each scene that had those moments to a real moment that would be. It wasn't like, oh, this would be a funny line, but let's put it on somebody else. It's like, no, this would be a funny line because Madison's going to say it, or Milo's going to say it, or
Well, I feel like
And that is
a
really
lot-
lovely about the movie, because sometimes you watch a movie, you're like, all right, this is the funny person, this is the serious person.
So I gotta
But we
write
all
for
have a
that
sense of
person.
humor, right?
Right.
We all can be deep and real and sad, and you see that in each character. So
I mean, half the time,
Good job.
half the time, Madison would just say whatever she said.
She was an
really?
actress.
She was the
was a
youngest
little
kid
girl.
as a Madison's a real
Madison,
character.
yeah,
She's
is-
great.
She was saying
She's
whatever
a-
she said.
Mary.
Wait, I'm sorry. You're saying that there was ad lib
She
a
was
little bit?
not. I mean, kind of, but not really. Like you didn't really like. She just came off kind of funny. That's how I saw it.
She was very-
She's
yeah.
unfiltered, and she was
Well, she's
really
a
my
kid.
favorite.
She's
Yeah.
7.
She hasn't gone through as many years as we have. So
Right.
you know, I think that's amazing. I think
She was
acting.
really getting scared. I mean, it was fantastic. It was really worried.
She was
for her.
getting, yeah.
Oh,
She was. We all
sweetie.
felt bad.
Yeah,
but
that's it, yeah.
Sorry. Oh my
but
gosh,
but that's the
mother.
thing about a kid. Is a kid. There's nothing. They haven't gone through life, so there's nothing telling them no, 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 no. Like you are told, right?
Right.
So you put up all these walls and things to not feel or not, have an imagination as much as a kid would. So a kid has an amazing imagination, so you don't really have to do much with them because they already have it.
Right.
It's like
No,
almost
yeah,
more
totally.
natural, right?
Yeah, no,
That's
she-
interesting.
It's
You were
a
saying-
sense of play too, like a lot of actors.
They
play.
can just
I was
play.
gonna-
She was funny. There's no inhibitions, or like not as many, obviously.
Yeah, you just kind of
you see your son play, you're like, yeah.
Yeah, I guess like for
Yeah.
for you guys directing and helping
That's all it
and
is,
helping,
yeah.
just kind of like this is
It's
this
all-
is the make pretend scene we're doing today, right?
I just, I mean, when I look at acting, all I see it is just play, and you get you build up inhibitions to things as you get older, like everyone does. But if you have the ability to pull those away and just go play, then it's natural. That's it. You don't have to think about it. So a
It
kid
is still hard to
inherently
direct
can do
kids,
that.
though.
No,
Do
it's
you
all. I
find
mean, it's
that-
hard. Yeah. I mean, these kids were
Especially when you got to go like
these
for
kids
a line.
were great.
Yeah, like I guess that's part of the criteria as a child actor though too. They have to be able to remember the lines rather than just always go ad lib, right? 'Cause, I mean that seems to me, as you're describing it as a layman outsider, it would be the easy part would be here's the scene, go have fun with it. The hard part is, but I need you to say these lines and hit these marks. Right?
Yeah.
I will say about the kids is like kid actors sometimes get the bad rep of being like, oh, it's a kid actor, I don't want to deal, whatever, right? But these kids were great. Lexi Colker, who played Riley in the film, she was like more professional than like
Than
anyone.
Milo?
Than me. No, she would like show up. She's very like
Or
show
Annette,
up.
who just kept
show up
making
late.
jokes about the
Fantastic,
kissing
yeah.
scene.
I'd show up late.
Yeah,
I didn't want to be there.
and Madison.
kiss me.
Madison, who plays the younger sister, she was like a little more, but that's just her personality. She was a little more like boisterous and stuff, but that's what brought it to that role. That is her, like what he's saying. But she was also like, she'd be joking around and like acting like a wild person, and then we'd be like, hey, let's go. And then she's 7, like obviously. And then as soon as she'd also just go and do
that's
it.
great.
So, but there's only so much you can ask out of a kid. Like you can't keep them there forever. We would want to do that anyway. Like, you know,
Right.
so.
Also, by law, you can't do that.
I'm saying the
They have to get
the upside
schooling
of-
and-
yeah.
And being the first movies back from SAG, you can't you got to keep that card. You don't
Yeah,
want
we were way up a dirt row. We were like, we're keeping him here. You can't. We're working him 14 hours a day. Yeah.
The upside of having the kids on set is after 9 hours, you're.
Well, I think
your-
that's why
your
they
days
shoot
gotta
in
start
other
wrapping
countries,
up, yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
there's no
So-
laws.
Yeah.
So going back to the writing, and putting the movie in the perspective of the kids and stuff, which that we touch upon, I think is brilliant and something subtly didn't even realize as I'm watching the movie, which makes it even better. It means you guys did a fantastic job of putting it together that way. But in that, there was another thing that I wanted to ask about, is kind of 2-part question here. When you're writing this film, and are you taking in? Is your muse coming from anything that's happened in your life or maybe a friend's life or something like that for the actual characters or this whole family getting away theme? And the second part of that is going to the time of it and the timing. Why is there Game Boy and NES in this movie?
I'll take that first.
Take the layup first. All right, cool.
I think that for us, it was important to, I guess in conceptualizing the movie, we were looking at a lot of these sort of anti-federal government standoffs that had happened in the 90s.
Okay.
So it had been conceived as sort of this thing that was rooted in almost more of like the period of the mid to late 90s. But ultimately, we sort of wanted it to be a little bit timeless. I don't
Okay.
think we didn't want it to feel like it was a 2021 movie that they were leaving because of COVID, because that just felt
Right.
too pointed to what was happening.
That's interesting you bring that up, though,
Yeah.
because I do feel like the timing on this movie, and I know you guys have talked about it before in other interviews and even in the Q&A that night, it was not the the inspiration for this at all.
No.
But the timing, a lot of people might take away from that and kind of ipso facto be able to relate to the characters a little bit more, maybe because the entire world went through that.
We saw into the future, right, guys?
Yeah.
True, but a lot of those people just moved to Florida or Austin. They didn't move up to a mountain. They moved to
I mean, I guess Florida was okay.
Sorry, guys. Sorry if you did that. I just,
Florida's beautiful, though.
It is beautiful, and so is Austin. Until everyone from
I haven't been to
California-
Austin in a
until-
while.
Until
I heard-
everyone from California moves there.
Yeah, and then they ruin it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
sorry,
that's
Austin.
not Austin,
But everyone
Florida
else,
anymore.
but I agree. Everyone else should, because I really love California, but I hate the traffic. So let's have them all go to Austin.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah, there's a time.
Austin.
There's a timeless element of it. Like he was saying, we didn't want to date it.
Yeah.
So like what you're talking about, that was like, for lack of a better term, a happy accident as far as like what happened in the world. Like now it's like, oh, that even means more. But I feel like there was already meaning to it, obviously, and so it was looking at that and trying to like humanize people who just want to go. I guess, I mean, it came from the question to us. It was looking like he was saying those 1990s standoffs, and then looking at like autonomy and could you have true autonomy? Like if you wanted like true autonomy, like if you just wanted to be like Manifest Destiny 200 years ago, you get your wagon train,
And just go.
you go out west, you go up a mountain. Could you be self-sufficient? Could you live? Could you school? Could you just be left alone and live on your own and be a good person? So it was looking at that in today's world and being like, is that possible? Mm-hmm. And the answer, I think, is kind of not really.
Yeah, it was interesting. So back to taking inspiration from real life, I actually had a question that was like, was there a lot of research on child protective services and stuff done in the writing of this? Because I was just curious, if you went up to the mountains, hypothetically, and you took your kids with you, would child services just come up to make sure your homeschooling is cool, or would you have to wait until something was red flag?
Well, there was a precursor, if you remember. The kids are looking a little rough, and it's kind of mistaken
right.
in the store. And so I think we
That's
don't specifically
at that point.
we don't
Okay.
explicitly say it, but I think you kind of get an idea that like, oh, somebody called it on them because it looked like a worse situation than it was.
Yeah, and as we talked about earlier, in the store, that's like the first time that you get the outside
Yeah,
world.
because the kids are, for context, the kids are living
Right.
outside. They got dirty clothes. Mom's not doing so great. Dad's taking them out, doing his best, but the kids start talking to a store clerk, and it feels like something is going on that.
So that's when
isn't.
it comes. Okay. Yeah, I only saw the movie once. And I had a couple beers, but it was for the timeline. I can remember that part. But yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I don't think they come just. I don't think
Anytime,
it's
yeah.
a guarantee that Child Protective Services
Right.
would
Someone
show
has to
up if
call you
someone
in.
is living rurally.
that's
but-
kind of what I thought, and that's why I was like, I
there's,
was just curious.
No,
and,
you-
and then it
yeah.
made me ask myself the question: was there a lot of thought that went into the? I mean, you got the real life emotion obviously across. Was there a lot of the real life aspects of? Let's think about how that would go down.
My wife's a teacher, so
Yep.
we
Oh, okay.
we cross-checked some of the Child Protective Services stuff, and then Annette, I know you guys have
Yeah,
talked
my
about
best
being a
friend's
teacher.
husband
Yeah.
is the director of, I'm getting the title wrong, of Child Protective Services for Los Angeles.
Okay.
So, and I talked to him at length about it, and it's just, I just remember I was sobbing on the phone. It's just, he has to make sure he trains the social workers constantly, like retraining them, because it's everything they write down. It creates, once your kids are taken out of the house, it's you go through courts. It's such a lengthy process, and a lot of times, it's almost impossible to get them back, and then the foster parents come in, and it's just what's worse for the child at the end of the day. Obviously, depends, what kind of neglect they're going through, but they also want to be with their parents, and the parents are trying to figure it out, and they need support, and are they getting the support they need? And in the movie, when Riley reveals something to this stranger, right, Elaine, who comes in from the Child Protective Services, and she said, "You can help me. You can help my mom." And she says, "Yes, I can help."
And she
thought she would help the mom, right, with her medicine. And, she just rips them out and takes them to another family, and they're miserable, even though they're dressed, they have clean clothes on, and they're getting birthday cakes, and they're getting, all 3 meals. And
Spoiler.
Yeah, right.
Kidding. No.
Yikes.
No, it's fine.
You can't put this out.
No, but it is.
no.
Yeah, there is something about that.
Don't
Looking
worry.
at that.
In case Annette didn't tell you before, guys, we do send everything to you before, so feel free to talk about whatever. And
No, it's
later
fine.
on.
Spoilers are coming.
I was joking. I was
You
joking.
could just blip me out.
No, sorry. It was.
Don't worry, I'm going to cut out the
Flippy
part
me.
where I just said that I had a
Flippy
couple
me.
of beers and looked at the fucking thing, so don't
Yeah.
worry.
No, there is. But
So should I also cut out the fact that you were The part you don't remember about the movie is because you were in the bathroom, because I was going to the bathroom as well.
Yeah, let's get
that was
part
me,
out
dude.
there.
I was in the bathroom. I was there too.
No, we
What?
passed,
You weren't
we
there?
passed each other too. Hey.
Oh, you did.
You went to the bathroom with him too?
Yeah, and
Maybe
does
I
it
could
feel?
the bathroom
Does
with
that
him,
feel?
dude.
Does that feel like
all
a little bit of like of a nut
Careful.
thing? You know, like you know.
I'm getting jealous.
Yeah, you're getting a little jealous
sorry,
about Annette kissing
no,
a Milo.
I was kidding. But that
we went to the bathroom
finish.
together.
That is no, that is poignant though with that whole system. Sorry,
It's a good movie to look at and see, can we get the parents some support? Because they
Right.
were happy. They had great moments of happiness. They just needed some help. You know, the grandparents weren't around. They don't have a support network at all.
Right now, that's a good
There's
point.
some neighbors, right? But again, you know, good, bad influences, but they help them with the septic.
Let's get to the
good.
neighbors real quick because I am a fan of both of these actors. Michael from Walking Dead,
Michael Cudlitz, yeah.
Michael Cudlitz, and Tim Heidecker from the Tim and Eric show is what I know him the most for. And I think he's that show's absolutely brilliant. I think you and I talked on the phone about Tim, before. How did you get these two to be the neighbors?
We're
Where did it come
like
from?
such big fans of Tim. You know, since college, like from like Tom Goes to the Mayor, even in high school, honestly, Tom Goes to the Mayor,
right.
that was their first show, and then Tim and Eric Awesome show, which I feel like they just like completely reinvented their own version of like sketch comedy. You know, like everyone, I feel like there's different generations that come, and then we'll do like their own version of what that is, and
Right.
So he's like so great, and then we had seen him in things like the comedy and other roles where like it's always very funny to us. Like he'll play the kind of like when he gets mad or like plays that guy. I'm laughing and thinking about it. So we had,
Can you impersonate?
on
Can you
our
show us
Yes,
what he
yes,
does?
No, I'm not
please,
gonna do it.
come on.
Not everyone
on
is familiar with
on our first
that
film,
reaction.
we had actually, for the villain, we had talked on our first feature, Happy Hunting, on Amazon. We had talked about
His plug.
casting him. We were like, that would be awesome, and it just didn't happen. And then when we wrote this, we had this role of Steve Danick. He's the neighbor. He's kind of just this kind of like backwoodsy guy, but we didn't want to go super stereotypical. Okay. We wanted to, you know, we were trying to humanize everybody, and we're like, well, who would live up there? And then we were like, oh wow, Tim would be awesome for this. We were like, all right, let's just reach out. So we had our people reach out to his people, and actually wanted to do it. And we're very happy because the role, he did a great job. He just played it very real. And in real life, people have a sense of humor. You know, it's like
Right.
it doesn't have to be like some scary guy. We just we wanted to make it feel real. So anyway, we love getting him.
I think in a stereotypical world, the sort of redneck neighbor character with all the guns would be somehow threatening to the family, or would be, you know, this hardcore sort of personality. And the reality is that guy in real life is probably not that. Our sort of concept of that character was always that he's someone who's in equilibrium with his environment up on this mountain. He
Right.
belongs there. Like, he's good.
Yeah,
They've been
yeah.
there for 3 generations. Like, he's fine. He's not bothering anybody. Like, it's really this family that's coming in that's this sort of like invasive species that doesn't make sense on the mountain.
Right.
That's causing all the trouble. Like, the you know, the Tim Heidecker character is not causing any trouble up there.
Yeah.
Like,
I think you just touched upon something that I find very interesting is that, and maybe you can elaborate on it as a writer here, and with having the ambiguity of, you know, antithesis and protagonist in this movie. There's a lot of the theories and talks that are like people who are perceived as bad. It's not like they went out and like just were, I'm going to do this because I'm a bad person. It's just they were, because of their perception, this is how they feel is right, and the rest of the world finds it so wrong that then they're now perceived as those are bad acts. Of course, we're taking out the obvious ones of like murder and other things like that, but like you're talking about, Tim's character up there is very much, he's part of the mountain. This is his world. He even does it kind of comically with the cheers and the beers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know? And it's a really, I think everyone's probably seen a character like that in their life, right? Mm-hmm. And at first you might think of like, is that a stereotypical cabin guy who's like going to be the bad guy in the cabin or whatever? He's got a sly look on his face or whatever. But like you might know over time of meeting different people, it's not. I guess you can't judge the book by the covers becomes very true in the sense of like, if they do something that's bad, it's kind of because it's their environment. It's not necessarily because they're innately born bad in a lot of respects, right? So I feel like that's kind of where I see these characters like Milo, and more so Milo's character, because that's the one where it's like starts to go bad. Everything starts to go bad. But again, he's just trying to do what he thinks is best. It's not necessarily a bad person.
I mean, he's a fish out of water. So Tim Heidecker's character, Joe and I, when we wrote it, we kind of looked at it as Tim Heidecker's character, who's Steve Danick, right? He's that neighbor. He's kind of the bad angel. It's the old cartoon. It's like the bad angel and the good angel.
Right.
Michael Cudlitz is also up there, and he's been up there a while, but he definitely has his shit together. And he's kind of the good angel on the shoulder. So, but this guy ends up getting kind of driven past both of them. Like even Steve Danick, Heidecker's character, would never do what this guy did. This guy's a fish out of water, like Joe was saying. Steve's third generation, so he's like, no, this is just life. Like, I'm not popping shots off at cops. I'm not doing any of that stuff. Like,
I drank the punch and just went a little bit further.
He went further because he's kind of, I don't know.
He's got a lot of pain.
He has some delusions and
pain.
illusions. He's dealing with the family. She's going through some mental disorders. He's trying to deal with that. He just kind of jumps the shark. He just goes overboard, you know?
And I kind of think to that point, though, is where someone watching the movie can maybe empathize with that character a lot, too, and be and to that point.
Well, I think you said that earlier. You kind of touched on it. It's like whether or not you've moved up to a mountain or not, in this film, you will be able to,
Put yourself there.
Put yourself in these, not that specific situation, but how that person felt at that time.
Right.
Or my father was like this, or my mother was like this. And I think that's the whole point of, doing art and doing film is to reach out to the, the audience and show them that there's other people or other stories that are feeling like this, and that it's not just you alone, right?
Right.
Create empathy.
I mean, I think that's
the important thing.
Sorry. I was saying we talked about it being a bummer movie, and to me, I think of it more as being a hopeful movie, I guess, in the sense that it's showing society as a bunch of decent people who just want different things, and sometimes those things are mutually exclusive, and that's where the movie has a lot of conflict in it.
Right.
But it all just comes from the fact that a bunch of good people wanted different things, and that they couldn't make it work. And
that goes back to, I think I was a little long-winded in what I was saying there, but I think that goes back to that comparison in real life, though, too. Like that's a very real thing. If you really look around at society and other people, you often look at them and you see the perception of what they've done and you judge it, when in all reality, they never thought what they were doing was wrong. They always it was just an idea of what's best for right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's so tribal now with everything, but I think most people are just trying to do what they think is right, and I think that's sort of what, if anything, there's sort of that is the underlying message of the movie.
Everyone's trying to do what's right, but everyone's telling them it's wrong.
Right. It just doesn't,
Weird world, right?
The intentions are there, but it doesn't, it's how do you deal with that conflict when two people want different things, maybe for the right reasons, but you can't give way for another person.
Well, it's going back of people moving everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And also, you move to a new place, people are set in their ways, and you're new, and you maybe can do things, you have a new perspective that you can add, and it could be a good thing, but people think you're going to ruin, you're going to change their culture, and it's just a period of adjustment. I think we can all just breathe through it more a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we all are very adaptable.
Yeah.
It's an escape, right? I mean, that's why people would go to plays and, before there was film and stuff like that. It's an escape. They want to escape their own life, right? And sometimes they'd go to escape their own life and actually see their own life and maybe get a different perspective on what's going on with them. So,
Right.
So I think, that's what we do as artists and as people who are creative, right? And that's what we get a kick out of doing. That's what we love to do. We get a kick out of doing that.
Yeah.
Right?
And the most important thing is good to sit down and talk about these things so there are no misunderstandings, right?
And I was going to say, you were asking about the two guys off Cudlitz. I just want to say off Micahel Cudlitz.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We're so blessed to have him. He's the most down to earth, coolest guy. He came on. I had met him because he was directing an episode of Annette's show,
Right.
Walking Dead, and we were doing a table read at the house. We were in Virginia, and he just showed up to the house. And we started talking, and then Annette actually said it. He was like, hey, you should cast Mike. Because we had just finished writing the script, Joe and I. And he was like, you should cast him. And we were like, so I got on the phone with Joe. He's like, yeah, he's awesome. So I was like, all right, let's see if he wants. And we sent it to him, and he was just like, this is awesome. I love this. Let's get on the phone. And he was just like, he's awesome anyway. So I wanted to say that him and Tim.
Well,
were
he's
like,
obviously awesome. He got you
Yeah.
into High West.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and here we are, full circle.
Yeah.
I want to. We'll talk. Everyone, real quick. We'll do a little thing here. Everyone, go check out this movie. I'm not messing around. This is a great movie. I'm not just doing this because they're here. This is a great movie, and it's coming out November 11th in theaters everywhere. Go check a local listing. I know that seems weird to say because no one checks a local listing anymore. So go to like Google and find your local movie theater. That's the place that shows movies outside of streaming. And go down there, buy a ticket, watch this movie, go see it in the theaters because it's a really incredible movie. I think me and Joe talked about this the other night about the idea of seeing this movie in theaters without, the distractions of your phones and everything like that. I know that's crazy, people, but go see it without the distractions and really empathize and become part of this art that these guys have created because it's worth it.
Oh, thank you.
Now that we got that out of the way, I wanted to go back to a little bit of like what each of you have done before this movie, a little bit to kind of tie a bow on this. Milo, you mentioned you had other jobs before acting kind of became what you wanted to do. Like,
Yeah.
what were some of those other jobs?
Okay. Hold on, let me just fix my shorts. Sorry, everybody.
I don't know why you needed to fix your shorts to talk about your other jobs.
Because they were riding up on me. I wanted to fix them. Okay. I after high school, I did not go to college. I went and became a massage therapist.
That's why he fixed his shorts.
Yeah, it was just just.
No. Okay, no.
And by the way, it gave him some kind of flashback.
No.
We don't believe
And by the
you.
way,
No.
he never
No.
gave me a massage. I wonder why.
Can you
No,
prove
get
that
out
you're
of
a
here.
massage
Get out of
Never
therapist?
on. I could never get one out. I was like, Milo, please give me a massage. He'd be like, fuck off.
Wait, you
Not
actually
giving me
asked
one.
your brother to give you a
Yeah,
massage?
I'd be like, dude, give me one.
Okay,
When you
I'm
got a-
sorry.
when you got
That
a
would be
certificate,
weird.
I'm like, give me
I
one.
agree with Milo. If my brother asked me for a
Shirt on,
massage,
just like, give me one, baby.
Look.
You wouldn't give my mom
Okay,
one.
so that's
What a jerk.
So that's what I did. So
He gave me one.
I did that because
oh,
my God. So I did that, and then after that,
how long was that? And
I did that for about 2 years.
was it something you actually enjoyed, or how did that fall in your lap? I know that sounds like a dick question.
No, I mean, look.
He's like, I got a table downstairs.
The schooling part.
Are you trying to get a massage?
I just want to get one before Louie does. That's
The
all.
schooling part, not so fun because you can't just you have to just massage whoever comes in.
Right. No, my brother was a massage therapist.
So that was not.
really?
Fuck off.
No, I'm
Okay.
dead serious.
Did he give you a massage?
It's a
Did you-
profession.
No, hell no. I would
You
never
don't
let
do
my
it.
brother touch me.
No, I thought he was just fucking with me.
You never let your brother do it?
So
No, I would not let my brother do it.
Really?
Well, he did physical therapy.
Oh,
And massage therapy
yeah.
was a part of it. And,
Yeah.
and so
well, yeah, it's a little more elevated.
Yeah.
To get. Thanks.
I wasn't
No.
saying that to point that out.
No. Hey, look, it was some cool stuff. I did like Ayurvedic head massage. That was pretty badass. I did sports massage.
Happy
There were other.
Short dudes off.
This is what you get to deal with when you do a profession like that, which I respect very, very much.
No, I got no issues with it. I just
You
got a
get
massage
people
the other day.
cracking
Well,
jokes
no.
like happy
Can I tell you a quick story about male masseuse? So on the road.
Yeah.
No, it's to your point right there. Like
Yeah.
what you have to deal with in that profession. It's a great profession, guys. But there was a time when we asked for masseuse to come out and backstage and stuff like that. Like before you go on stage, you get
Yeah.
fucking cramps.
Yeah.
It just happens. So believe it or not, we're not professional athletes, but we move around a little bit on stage. So you need massage therapy every once in a while. And one of the times there was like a male that came, and like every one of us besides one was like, "Fuck no."
Were you the one?
It's just weird. No, I was not. It was our guitar player. I won't say which one. So it's not like a entirely homophobic thing. I mean, I think it comes from it a little bit, but to be honest, I just don't think I've never had a male masseuse. I don't think I can relax with it. Just being completely honest.
I prefer
Yeah, it's hard to
women.
relax. Yeah.
I prefer women. There's a lot of women who prefer men.
Right.
But there's also a lot of women who prefer women.
Louie likes to get
So-
scrubs at the Korean spot. Sometimes
So-
you get
The scrubs are
a
nice.
strong
I know.
man
I got a
story
to
about that.
Scrub your
So
body.
we're getting. Let's put a pin in that for
Have
just
you done
one
the
second.
scrubs?
Yes, I have.
Did you have a guy do it?
No.
All right. Well,
Again, I never. Like anytime I just go. I'm okay. I'll go do some yoga.
she made me
and
do
stretch.
it.
But
That's pretty slippery, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy.
at any rate, we'll get back to that in a second.
Yeah.
At any rate,
so glad that we can get back to me and my massage.
I
So
have
no,
to.
look,
I
look,
can't let
look,
you off the hook that
look.
easy.
Look, when I was younger, I gave some girls some massages or whatever when I was like way younger, and they're like, "Wow, you're really good, right?" So college came around, and they were like, "Yeah, you have to do like more GEs." I'm like, "Well, fuck that. I don't want to do any more GEs. That just sounds so stupid. Why would I do that?" I didn't like it in the first
What's
place.
a GE?
General education. I already did that in high school, so you have to do 2 more years, right?
Oh.
Yeah. So I was like, screw that. So I went and did something that I thought I had a passion for, right? And you don't go anywhere in the world if you don't take chances and try new stuff, right?
Right.
So I did that. It was cool. I
Are
did
you
it
telling
for
me
a
to
while.
try a male masseuse? Is
That's
that-
No, I'm not.
So that's how we got all his movies.
No, look. So yeah, I mean, it was a job.
I don't
I
want to
did.
hear any more about your massage, okay?
He wants to know what the next thing is.
I think Milo. We're gonna. Yeah, I want to know the
I'm
next
joking.
thing, but we're gonna do another follow up later on in the season with just Milo talking about the massage therapy.
That's getting cut.
Definitely not.
Keep it in.
Yeah,
Keep it all in.
that's getting cut. No, and,
So
and then,
what-
and then I
after
was an
that-
electrician for about 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that work for about 5 years, and I love working with my hands. That's how I learn.
Let's check all the bulbs.
Yeah.
No,
I did more than just check bulbs, but thank you.
You
I
did some
appreciate-
electricity on set,
I appreciate
actually.
your
I'm just
confidence.
trying to hook Johnny up here. If you're not gonna give him a massage,
Wire
you're
houses,
gonna
goddammit.
Yeah, yeah.
screw some bulbs in.
No, I did that, and then it was around that time that I
seen
was like, you know what, I want to do this.
Yeah.
What I do now, and I was like, I was like, shit, I'm on the fence. I was doing both. I was doing that and doing that, and I was like, fuck it, I gotta go dive all the way in. So
Yeah.
there
I
you
will
go.
say we had a day on set where all the lights were plugged in on house power at the cabin,
Thank you.
and it popped the breaker.
Thank
and
you.
Milo's like, "I'm on it." Started going
Thank
out
you.
like
See, that's
monkeying with the
that's
breaker.
a lesson though to a lot of people out there aspiring to do other things. Though, if you have another trait that might actually help out as well, it's not a bad idea.
Well, also, I think going into this world now, I think you're better off going to a trade school than to a regular college, unless you're
Yeah.
like becoming an astronaut or a lawyer or a doctor. But that's just my opinion. Don't listen to me.
Brought to you by UCLA. Yeah, no, I think I do like the electrician part of it. I've always told myself if music never made it, I find it very
It
therapeutic
is
to mess
so
with fucking
cool.
wires.
I mean,
and do
besides
that.
getting shocked and shit,
Yeah.
that doesn't feel good.
But and I also like that at least in Southern California, most of the electricians I've ever met are total stoners. Like they're just like always high. Messing like how is that possible? It's like, but then if you actually think about it, and you're like doing like I do like audio stuff, like audio wires and stuff.
Yeah.
When you're like, if you're really OCD about it, maybe have a little buzz going, a little high. You know, you're kind of like,
I don't know.
This
I mean,
is kind of
depends on what you're working with, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying you
Like,
make sure
one
you turn the
time-
power off on the
I
house
mean,
first.
one time I've been doing it for a while, and I was just lazy. We were changing out some outlets at my boss's house, mind you, and I just was lazy, so I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll just do it with the power on. I just won't get shocked. I was sitting in a chair, and I just went all the way through me, went out the other side, and made me stand up from the chair, and I was like, oh. He was like, yeah, you can go take the rest of the day off. It went right through me. It changed changed the chemical.
Is that when you decided you
thing.
want to go into acting?
No. Because it's so much easier.
That's when all the light
Because
bulbs
it's so
went
much
off.
easier.
Ding, ding,
No,
ding,
no,
ding, ding, ding.
No, but I mean, I never went to work stoned. And fuck that.
No.
You fucking kill yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like, and in all seriousness, like, you're talking on the wall. What's the voltage that you probably took on that?
120, but 120 is more dangerous than 220.
Right.
Because 120, you'll get stuck on 120, and it won't let you go.
Yeah.
220, you'll touch and it'll shoot you out of your fucking shoes.
Right.
So at least you might do it, but you'll find people like this, like
Yeah.
sitting on a fucking wire.
I'm
forever.
watching
gotta,
you.
like,
I'm
hook
watching
'em
you
off
do
with
this,
it,
and I'm
hook
also
'em
out of the
up.
corner of my eye watching my producer do this because that's also what he deals with on his regular job.
Yeah, what's that?
Construction project manager. But
There you go.
I've done it all.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't happen a lot, but yeah, it does happen. You get stuck. You got to push them off with a broom or some shit
You're
like
making
that.
it all sound fun.
You can't touch them because if you touch them, then you're not
Then you're
grounded. Then
shot.
you're grounded. Then
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
stuck
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Please
It's
don't
like-
do this at home.
I'm not enough of a man to talk about any of this stuff.
It's like a story of the power lines went down, like the 220 power lines went down, and the family went out to go do something, and the dad goes down, and then the brother, the wife was like, oh no, I'm gonna go help him. She went out.
Oh,
she
grabbing
went
each other?
down.
Oh, yeah.
No, not grabbing each
got
other,
like a
just
little
getting
chain?
getting near because
near,
of
'cause
all
that's
the
right.
grounding. And then the daughter went, like the whole fucking family perished.
What a bummer.
Did this
guys.
happen? Is this
This happened a couple years ago.
So did anyone have any happy jobs before they got into the entertainment business?
I've never had a real job in my life, really. I've just
Okay.
always
Right.
just done movies. Like I work a lot of hours a week, but I've never had like a 9 to 5 job. Like
Right.
came out of college.
Because this is also our cinematographer.
Yeah,
here.
right.
This is true. And the lighting, everything.
So I should have had you look at these cameras before we go now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's all right. And I came out of college.
He can figure it out in editing.
Yeah,
Into music
do that
videos
too.
out of college.
You did a lot of music videos?
Yeah, as a director, I went into that, and then it was right when YouTube had sort of started to get prominence, and all the bottom had fallen out on budgets for music videos. So
Right.
quickly figured out that
I know nothing
this was
about
not
that.
really a sustainable business unless I'm like, if I also edited it, then I can pick up the editing fee.
Full control.
And if I also shoot it, then I can pick up the cinematographer fee, and suddenly it becomes sort of to turn to sustainable business model into something that was a job.
What were some of the? Was there any notable acts that you worked
We've
on?
done a lot of stuff for Daughtry,
okay.
Breaking Benjamin,
Friend of the
guys
show.
like that.
Oh, nice.
Took Benjamin out on the road, and Daughtry
yeah.
was a really nice guest on the show here.
Oh, yeah,
those guys are all
Dodger's
great.
cool, yeah.
Yeah, he was a really nice guy.
Awesome.
Well,
I'm
you worked on that
surprised.
Sulu. Oh, that's right, because you guys were.
Well, he done. I also at the same time actually when him and I became friends because he was a year above me and I had already seen I think that he was doing videos and then I started doing some videos on the side too. And then when we linked up, he's done some. We've done a few together. Our production company Wolf House, which is the production company on this film, one of the
Yes.
production companies, that and Samuel Goldwyn. We also do commercial music video stuff. So,
Okay.
so yeah,
Well, it's a good thing we're in touch.
yeah.
Yeah, so we
Let's
guys
do a
made a
video.
Yeah. Only if they come in and do another kissing scene that you get pissed off about.
No way, dude.
My pleasure.
No way, bro.
So what about you, Louie? Was it
Same thing. I
similar
just
as
came out of
Joe?
school, yeah,
Yep.
and you know, we're just doing that. And you know, early on, we had some projects that we had written and we had pitched around that we thought were going to go that didn't. It's just kind of the way it goes. And
Nature of the business.
and so, and we were like, oh my gosh, we were like 22 or 23. We're like, yeah, we're gonna get this show made. And then you know,
That's awesome.
but yeah, you know, there's a lot of that. But everything leads to the next thing.
I would
which
hate
is-
to see a video of us like at 22, like in the room of pitching those shows. It's probably like so bad.
Yeah,
You got-
we had one bad pitch at
Do you
Comedy
guys
Central.
wait? Do those tape exist? Do those tapes
No, God,
exist?
no.
We had a pitch for an animated show we
It's
had.
like, come on, we got to pull those out.
We went to Comedy Central. We were probably like 23. We were in Comedy Central, and it was just like a bad pitch, I think.
I think the agent after the show
They're
was
like,
like, yeah,
and
but
we're
that
like,
shouldn't go well.
they're like,
You
oh,
guys
you
were
need,
not good at
yeah, we just
pitching.
got a call. They were like, yeah. But you have to have those moments.
Oh,
Because then
I
off
did,
that,
yeah.
you're like, fuck, you like learn it. So, but it's interesting to look back at all that because I feel like everything does lead to the next thing. Like anything, it's like the reason we made our first film, Happy Hunting, was because we had another feature Joe and I had written with our producer Bryson. We were trying to go make this thing, and it was actually getting a lot of interest. We were going around to like a lot of like decent sized production companies. It's just we didn't know at the time how hard it is to get anything made ever. And because of that, we wrote our first movie, Happy Hunting, because we were like, let's just go make something we can go make. Like, fuck these companies. We just need to go do it independently. Otherwise, we'll never get anything made. So we've had to do that a couple times where like, we also have other projects going, but like the waiting game is so long. You're like, we just need to keep making art because otherwise you also need to be doing your work on it. But yeah.
We actually worked together on a different job. I used to sell flowers and laser graduations. You know those beads, the kukui nuts.
Really?
Yeah.
And so
I went with her once when
yeah,
we
I
first
was
met.
like, I was
we
like,
were driving an
I was
18-wheeler.
like, yeah, you do production, right? So I pick him up in a semi truck and
For real,
here on
dude. No, I had to have a
Hollywood,
license
just
for
like
it.
hitting trees. And he's like, I'm here, get in. He's like, is that you in this truck? I'm like,
I
yeah.
couldn't believe it. I was like,
How
what
have I
the
never
hell?
heard this?
Wow.
And I jumped in
Yeah,
with
what's
her.
up? I never heard this, guys.
I don't know. That was a huge refrigerated truck, and I'm like, I had to have a different class license for it, and we didn't have it, and one of the headlights was out.
And we're going
I'm
to San
like,
Francisco.
We drove all
in
to
the
San
truck.
Francisco and at night.
Whoa,
So
what?
you drove without the proper license?
I wasn't
too?
supposed to have it, but it was through.
Class C licenses.
Yeah, it was a Class C license. I
No,
had to
Class
have.
C is
Or no,
what we
what I
have.
Yeah, I had to have a B
Yeah,
or
they-
an
You'd
A.
have like an A or some shit.
Whatever it was, and I drove with her all the way up to San Francisco.
Gnarly.
How did you know how to do that though? Because doesn't that mean it's a different transmission?
Was it a
and
real
everything?
18-wheeler? Because
must have
18-wheelers are
not
not
been.
easy. Because 18-wheelers are you got
You got a double
pressure
clutch.
brakes.
Isn't there
You
like
know
a
what
double
double
clutch or
clutch is?
something?
You were
Yeah,
a five. It was a five.
I don't know how to do it.
It's
I was
like
just,
It was way
I was
bigger
just
than
gonna
a
ask
regular
Louie. I was
grip
like, how
truck.
the
It's like
fuck
a
did you know how to do
water
that?
in that fucking thing.
Illegal, guys.
Listen, it was it was illegal. B, it was way bigger than like a regular grip truck. It was like I don't know what it was. It was it was massive.
Okay.
Anyway.
So you
Yeah.
guys met, dude. This is how
no,
you
no,
met.
no. I actually my senior.
Picked her up at a resting stop.
I picked him up.
She was giving flowers at a funeral.
that.
In
At
an
a rest
18
stop. She was giving flowers at a
At a
rest
rest
stop.
stop.
cut that shit out. But listen,
We're cutting that. Cutting that.
but
So you were doing flower arrangements.
no, but I met
Well,
her.
you did flower arrangements in the warehouse, and then you took them in these boxes that look like the body could be laying in there, and then you show up to school and there's tables. You set up canopies. You have workers that meet you.
Okay, yeah.
And
It's
you're
all
running
meth
around
heads.
with like a bunch of cash in your backpack.
It's all meth heads that worked for, like, she was the manager, and you'd have to watch all their booths. She'd be like, watch out, they're gonna steal the money, because it was all cash, and money would just go missing.
Wow.
And then at the end of the day, she'd come down with a backpack. We'd have like 30K in a backpack from a day, because it was
What?
graduations at huge schools, and it's all cash. And like, I'm like,
Wait.
this is dangerous, dude.
Business.
Someone's gonna, like, kill you.
Let's get into it.
dude, I'm like, how much?
And we'd have to
Yeah,
go.
what?
We'd go all the way down to San Diego, right? It was San Diego to the guy's house, and he'd security outside. All the trucks would show up. He was an operation from like all the schools. You have to like bring in the cash. They like count the cash. It was some weird.
Counting
There's a
all the
lot of-
flowers. Every
there-
flower accounts for a dollar.
There's a lot of colleges out there.
It's a good business.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had
We should do
5 or 6 or 7 going on, 10 going on at a time.
We should
But I
do that
casted an
next.
ad in my senior thesis. That's how I actually met
hearing
her.
you now.
I met her 10
that
years
out.
ago.
Yeah, just because I don't want anyone else taking the idea.
Exactly.
I met her 10 years ago because I casted her in my short film, my senior thesis. That's how I
I was
met
on
her.
LA casting, submitting myself.
Was that your
hustling.
pickup line? I could cast you in a movie?
No. But I put her
No, but he did promise me. He's like, I'm gonna put you in every movie. The screening of the thesis.
I did
for,
say
like,
that
a
after,
chapter.
and she finally got
Every
one 10 years
movie,
later.
And so 10 years later,
Yeah.
he finally put me in a movie.
You waited around for
Two
that,
kids
for that
later,
role,
I really
though.
have
That's
to work
impressive.
for this one.
There's a lot.
No, I meant it though.
You did.
That's awesome. Well, I think that's pretty much all there is for
Awesome.
today. I'd love to stay in touch, obviously. You guys
Yeah.
are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Yeah, I guess that's it for this week of Drinks with Johnny. Everyone, again, go check out Manifest West. I almost said Destiny. I don't know why, because I think that's
It's a play on it,
That's a
yeah.
play on it, right?
You're
So,
you're a poet, Johnny.
Thanks again, guys, for being here. We'll probably do some kind of follow up with one of you guys. I got to get a phone call with one of you guys for the follow up.
Who's it gonna be?
Who's
Find
gonna
out.
be? Oh, we should make it a mystery one. We'll put a question mark. on
Ding,
it.
ding,
Cool.
ding, ding,
Yeah,
ding.
yeah.
Done with
All
that.
right. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you next time, as always.
Thanks
for having us.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for having us.
Cheers.